World Rugby's recent shape of the game conference in London has been described as a pivotal moment for the future of rugby union, with Rassie Erasmus and South Africa reportedly playing a central role in what some insiders have called a successful effort to protect rugby's identity. According to reports emerging from both South Africa and France, the back-to-back world champions were instrumental in ensuring that no sweeping law changes were introduced, particularly those that might have diminished the importance of the scrum and other traditional set-piece elements. While World Rugby publicly declared that there was universal agreement following the summit, behind the scenes there appears to have been intense debate about the direction in which the sport should move at a global gathering to shape the shape of the game conference brought together influential figures from across the rugby world to examine how the sport should evolve in the coming years. Administrators, coaches, referees, and performance experts met to discuss everything from player welfare and fan engagement to law amendments designed to improve the spectacle. Law changes have been a recurring theme in recent seasons. World Rugby has introduced a range of adjustments aimed at increasing ball-in-play time, enhancing safety, and making the game more appealing to new audiences. Among some unions, most notably Australia and New Zealand, there's been a growing appetite for speeding up play and reducing what they perceive as time-consuming set-piece contests, particularly scrums. That perspective, however, has not been universally shared. The scrum debate for traditionalists. The scrum is not merely a restart mechanism. It is a defining feature of rugby union. South Africa, long renowned for its forward dominance and physical set-piece prowess, has consistently argued that the scrum embodies the sport's uniqueness. Reports from French outlet L'Equipe, later echoed by South Africa's Rapport newspaper, suggest that South Africa and France align themselves strategically ahead of the conference to counter any proposals that might weaken the scrum's influence. The concern from their perspective was that in efforts to accelerate the game and appeal to markets where rugby competes with sports such as Australian rules football and rugby league, the distinct character of 15-man union could be diluted. One source quoted in the South African media framed the issue starkly. South Africa just wanted rugby to remain rugby and nothing else. That sentiment encapsulates a broader philosophical divide. For some nations, adaptation is essential to maintain commercial viability and capture younger audiences. For others, preserving core traditions is equally vital to sustaining the sport's integrity and global diversity. Months of preparation. South Africa's reported influence at the summit was no accident. According to Rapport, Erasmus led a delegation that included respected figures such as referee Jocko Paper, SA Rugby CEO Rian Oberholzer, coach Dave Wessels, and assistant coach Felix Jones. Together, they spent approximately 3 months engaging with counterparts in other countries, most notably France, to build consensus around protecting the fundamentals of the game. This level of preparation underscores how seriously South Africa approached the conference. Rather than reacting in the moment, they appear to have constructed a coordinated strategy supported by performance data and historical context. France, another nation with a proud scrummaging tradition and deep cultural investment in forward play, proved a natural ally. One French representative, FFR head of referees Matthew Raynal, later expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the discussions, having previously voiced concerns that certain proposals risked marginalizing the scrum. Competing visions of the game, the tension highlighted at the conference reflects rugby's broader crossroads that on one side are advocates for a faster, more continuous spectacle, one that reduces stoppages and potentially lowers the technical barrier for casual viewers. Australia and New Zealand, operating in highly competitive sporting landscapes, have been among the most vocal proponents of reforms designed to increase tempo. And on the other side are nations like South Africa and France, where the traditional set-piece battle is central to both identity and success. In South Africa's case, the scrum is not only a tactical weapon, but also a pathway for players of different body types to excel. South Africa wants rugby to remain a sport for all sizes and heights, a source explained. The scrums and drives make rugby unique compared to other codes. This is where South Africa has already built up a gene pool. The reference to a gene pool speaks to decades of structural investment in forward development. South Africa's rugby ecosystem, from schools to provincial academies, has long prioritized scrummaging excellence. Diluting the importance of that skill set would have competitive as well as philosophical ramifications. World Rugby's official position in the aftermath of the conference. World Rugby announced that there would be no immediate law changes and emphasized that discussions had been constructive and unified. The governing body statement of universal agreement suggested harmony, but the reporting from various outlets paints a more nuanced picture, one in which vigorous debate ultimately resulted in a cautious approach. While South Africa and France appear to have successfully resisted sweeping reforms, sources also acknowledge that the Springboks couldn't get its way with everything. That admission hints at compromise behind closed doors, even if the headline outcome preserved the status quo. Strategic messaging. The Shape of the Game series, interestingly, South Africa's preparation extended beyond private diplomacy. Approximately a month before the conference, SA Rugby released a 3-part YouTube series titled The Shape of the Game. The content featured Erasmus and key members of the Springboks coaching and refereeing structure discussing the state of rugby and analyzing potential law trends. Though presented as an educational initiative, the timing now appears significant. The series articulated data-driven arguments in favor of maintaining certain structural elements of the game, including scrums and mauls. By publishing these perspectives publicly ahead of the summit, South Africa may have sought to frame the narrative and build broader support. This proactive communication strategy reflects Erasmus' reputation as both an innovative thinker and a savvy operator. Throughout his tenure, he has not shied away from engaging with global debates about officiating and law interpretation. Protecting rugby's identity at the heart of the conference was a fundamental question. What makes rugby union distinct? For South Africa and its allies, the answer lies in its diversity of physical profiles and tactical approaches. Rugby accommodates players ranging from diminutive scrum halves to towering locks and powerful props. The contest for territory and possession through scrums and driving mauls differentiates union from other football codes. Critics of radical reform argue that removing or marginalizing these elements risks transforming the game into something closer to rugby league. Faster perhaps, but less varied. One source suggested that if experimentation with significant law changes is necessary, it would be better suited to the Sevens format, which already emphasizes speed and space. They shouldn't be messing with 15-man rugby, the source added. That statement encapsulates the broader protective stance adopted by South Africa. Evolution, yes, but not at the expense of core identity. At a broader political landscape, rugby's governance structure means that major decisions require buy-in from multiple unions with diverse interests. Financial pressures differ widely between nations. Broadcast markets vary. Grassroots participation rates are uneven. In such a context, conferences like Shape of the Game become arenas not only for technical discussion, but also for political negotiation. South Africa's alignment with France demonstrates how coalitions can influence outcomes. By presenting a united front, they were able to counterbalance the push from other Southern Hemisphere powers. This dynamic also reflects shifting power balances in global rugby. While Australia and New Zealand have historically driven innovation, South Africa's recent on-field dominance, coupled with France's commercial resurgence, has strengthened their collective voice. The outcome does not necessarily close the debate. Rugby remains under pressure to grow its audience, enhance player safety, and compete in crowded entertainment markets. Incremental adjustments are likely to continue. Whether future conferences revisit proposals to modify the scrum remains to be seen. Market realities and intertie.